Have you wanted to learn how to make a living in real estate? Real estate can be intimidating, but with the right guidance, you can begin a successful real estate career. Shannon Robnett is a second-generation builder and developer, fourth-generation realtor with over 35 years experience in real estate. And on his podcast, Robnett's Real Estate Rundown, he shares his experience and knowledge with listeners. Listen to this clip from a recent episode.
And I've always been able to get people to help me bring that dream to life so that at the end of the day, what we're seeing happen is we're seeing a raw piece of land turn into a commercial investment that is of benefit to the whole community. And then out of that, we're able to create a significant upside for the investors in that development project. So after 12 or 14 months, those investors will receive, I don't want to brag, but over 35% return.
Shannon Robnett shares advice that's actionable on wholesaling, fix and flips, single family, multifamily, and more. Robnett's Real Estate Rundown is available on Apple Podcast, Stitcher, YouTube, Podchaser, and Spotify. Add Robnett's Real Estate Rundown to your playlist right now.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome to the program, everyone. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. We are live on remote on the podcast today. We are on our back porch, which is called, I guess, a Florida room.
Yes.
Every one of our rooms is a Florida room because we're in Florida, but this is what you typically would call a Florida room. The weather is very nice, and Kathy's a little under the weather, so I thought if we were outside, I would be less likely to catch her cold or whatever it is that she has. All right, well, listen, guys, a lot is going on. I got a big announcement. As of Friday morning, I have been on Truth Social, and I am very, very excited at Real Brian Craig on Truth Social. So if you are on Truth Social, follow me on Truth Social. I will follow you back. I'm following everyone back. Here we are on the ground floor of Truth Social, and I also got to see President Trump in person on Saturday. So we'll talk about that in a little bit too, as well as Truth Social. But
I'm on Truth Social, too.
Yeah. Oh, yes. What's your Truth Social, Kathy?
Florida Mermaid.
That's right. Florida Mermaid. That's Kathy's.
So you can follow me, too, if you like.
Yeah, follow us both, and I will follow you back. And I got to tell you, I'm liking Truth Social. Mm-hmm. It's a lot like Twitter. It does not have all the features yet, okay? And it's still a work in progress. And I know a lot of people are way down the waiting list. And I must say, I was getting very discouraged last week. I signed up on President's Day, which was the 20th of last month, and you had been on for 2 weeks before I got on. Yeah. And we signed up on the same day, but you signed up like 10 hours before. And I've been getting messages from people that are telling me that they signed up after I did, and they had their accounts on. Yeah. I don't know if those people were just trying to make me feel bad or if it's true. And I was starting to think it's rather random on how people get on there. And
no, I think it's random because there is somebody I know one of our listeners that I trust. Well, I trust a lot of you guys, but one that I've known for a long time, I should say. And she signed up before you, and she is still not on.
Yeah, and it just happened out of the blue.
So it's a random thing.
I woke up on Friday morning, and it was really the only morning I had not checked Truth Social first thing when I woke up because I'd been getting discouraged. Mm-hmm. And I got an email from Truth Social that says your account is active and ready for use. And I went to it, I was like, oh my goodness. So I put my picture up and I put, I've got a great picture in my banner, which to me is a picture that could be in Life magazine. It's one of the last photographs taken of President Trump in the last minutes of his first term. It's when I was up at Mar-a-Lago on Inauguration Day when Trump came home as president. And it's a picture of President Trump in the Beast, the presidential limo, looking out of the window. And it's such a great picture. And I was vlogging that. And I took the picture as I was vlogging. And on that vlog, the Inauguration Day vlog, he is so happy. He doesn't look like he's got a worry in the world. And that made me feel so good.
I think that day he was already planning on running again.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Yeah.
maybe even before that, maybe after the election, he was already in his head, okay, we're going to do this again. Just wait, guys.
Yeah, and then I got to see him. Well, why don't I just talk about this before we get to this? Well, let me do the Ted Cruz story first, because the Ted Cruz story is in the title of the show, and it's the thumbnail on YouTube, so I don't want to put it off till the end. So I'll talk about Ted Cruz, and then I'll get to the Trump speech that I saw over the weekend and everything that happened there and a whole bunch of new stuff. But this story just broke a few minutes ago. Montana Airport calls the cops on Republican Senator Ted Cruz. Now, first off, they knew it was Ted Cruz. When you're dealing with a United States senator, especially a Republican one, okay, he may be giving you a hard time. We'll get into this, but you don't need the police. I mean, for someone to call the police on Senator Ted Cruz,
for show.
They are definitely a liberal. It was a liberal airport worker.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Montana Airport calls.
They knew what they were doing.
Yeah. Montana Airport calls the cops on Republican Senator Ted Cruz after he missed the check-in window for his flight and was told it was busy to rebook a flight during spring break. The incident was compared to Cruz's attempt to flee Texas to Cancun last February, while millions of his constituents grappled with a power crisis. Remember that during the winter? It's not clear why the Republican senator was in Montana for the weekend. He was due back on Capitol Hill today for the first day of confirmation hearings for Biden's Supreme Court nominee. The airport told the Daily Mail that one of its public safety officers was in the ticket lobby and was asked to assist with a frustrated passenger. The officer did not realize it was Ted Cruz until after the incident. So this, and let me get to details of this. This says a lot about Ted Cruz. First off, he's taking commercial.
Yeah.
Okay, probably first class, but he's taking commercial.
Well, yeah.
He's not flying on a private jet like Pelosi and all these other people do.
True.
He's taking commercial. And two, they said that it was, how did they describe this? They describe it as he acted like, don't you know who I am? But then the police officer is saying he did not know it was Senator Cruz until after the incident. So Ted Cruz, he's a United States senator. He's flying commercial, and he's not out there saying, I'm Senator Ted Cruz from the great state of Texas. You can't do this to me. The police officer didn't even know until after the incident who it was.
So it was probably just a big nothing, but they called the police to make it into something.
Yeah, because they're liberal jerks.
Yeah, and they knew people would be out recording on their phones.
Yeah, Senator Cruz was spotted at Bozeman Yellowstone International Airport shortly after noon on Sunday, apparently irritated by missing his flight, according to the Reddit user who first shared a short video clip, which is taken very far away. You can't tell anything in the clip. The user who posted the video claims Senator Cruz said some form of, do you know who I am, which is not consistent with the police officer not knowing who he was until after it was over. A representative for the airport confirmed to the Daily Mail that a frustrated Cruz had missed the check-in window of his flight and that rebooking options were limited because of the spring break, booking up a lot of flights. Senator Cruz managed to rebook, depart later that evening, according to the deputy director of the airport. It's not clear what Cruz or the airport employees were saying in the short video clip. The Texas Republican had been wearing a mask in compliance with federal guidelines at the airport. And this is the police officer is in full gear. He's got a gun. He's got a vest on. The police officer is in complete full gear. The 23-second video, which is taken far away and is in silence, appears to be taken from behind the employee desk of the main airport foyer. It shows Cruz vigorously nodding his head in visible annoyance. His mouth is covered by a mask that says, "Come and take it," in reference to the Second Amendment. He's shown to be facing off with two female employees. Then they're replaced by a single male law enforcement officer. The officer speaking with Cruz had no idea it was Senator Cruz until after the incident was over. So that's that. This is the deal, okay? This is the deal. You got some liberal jerks working at the airport. They knew very well it was Ted Cruz because his name was on the ticket. The ticket booth people knew who it was because the name was on the ticket.
Exactly.
Okay? Ted Cruz. And they're talking to him. And they don't like Republicans, so they called the police to give him a hard time to try to get him jammed up. And
I'd like to know how far he missed that window by.
It doesn't say.
See, it could have been 5 minutes.
Or 5 seconds.
Or 5 seconds. And then I can understand why he'd be frustrated. Probably saying, come on, it's like 2 minutes here. Can't you just check me in,
Yeah.
So I'd like to know, when things are recorded, people always record stuff. It's usually out of context, and you don't know what led up to the incident, and people lose their cool. They get upset when they're traveling. It happens all the time. My sister's a flight attendant, and she's been working as a flight attendant for 25 years. In fact, there was an incident on one of her flights that actually made the news. Somebody recorded, somebody went completely crazy on the airplane, and they had a marshal on the plane, and the marshal and my sister were trying to wrestle this guy and calm him down. Yeah. And it was on the local news here in Miami. She works out of Miami, and there's all kinds of stuff that happens. She just tells me all these stories. So they deal with this all the time when you're in the aviation business. People get upset. They get irate. I'm not saying it's okay, but I don't know what it is about traveling and driving that just like aggravates people. But he probably went there and they probably missed the window by minutes.
Or seconds.
And they probably just were adamant and would not budge.
And he might have missed it because he was stuck in line.
And exactly. And he probably just got really frustrated with all that and was like, just come on, it's important. But sometimes things are out of your control. And of course, people are there with the phone, filming, recording. And then all of a sudden it's on Reddit, and now we're talking about it here on the podcast.
And they called the cops on Ted Cruz for nothing. Nothing. And the Reddit user who said that he had this attitude of, don't you know who I am? The video is silent and it's far away. They know? Another one who just doesn't like Ted Cruz.
They just make it up.
And Ted Cruz is not perfect, and I got a lot of problems with Ted Cruz. But
he's made some dumb decisions.
Yeah, and his father was connected to the Kennedy conspiracy and all that stuff, and Lee Harvey Oswald. But I do have respect for a Republican United States senator who flies commercial.
What about Trump, who flies coach?
He has flown coach.
I would have died. He was on JetBlue, and he flew coach on JetBlue, which is a value airline. He wasn't even on Delta. I would have died.
That was before he was president, though.
No, but he was not before he was a billionaire.
Oh, no, he was very famous.
I mean, could you imagine if he got on a plane and walking down the aisle with Donald Trump and he sits next to you?
Yeah,
How cool would that be?
That was here in Florida, in Palm Beach. I guess his plane was not available, and he took JetBlue from Palm Beach to New York.
JetBlue has many flights from Fort Lauderdale to New York all day long.
And he didn't even have a window seat or an aisle seat. He was in the center seat with two people next to him.
It was
crazy. Now, I
would love that.
I want to take a moment to thank all of our Patreon supporters for their support of the program. Thank you so much, everyone, all of you. And all of your support means so much. And if you would like to support the program, a great way to do that is to become a Patreon supporter. There's a link to our Patreon page in the description of this and every episode, and a direct link on my website, briancraigshow.com. If you go there, it'll walk you through how to become a Patreon member, and there are benefits to it, including getting commercial-free editions of each and every podcast episode. And our top Patreon supporters get a live, on-air thank you shout-out on each and every episode. So the names you are about to hear are our top Patreon supporters, all right? I want to thank Andrew and Connie, Christine, Gary, ETW, Chuck, D, Pamela, Jacqueline, Nick, Rich, and Rick. These are our top Patreon supporters. Thank you again for your support. It is greatly appreciated. All right, so on Saturday, I spent the day at this Trump event, which was absolutely amazing. And it was an all-day event, and I know many of you were there because I met a lot of listeners while I was there. And a lot of people spoke. President Trump spoke, Don Jr., Dan Bongino, Candace Owens, Kim Guilfoyle, Sarah Huckabee spoke, but I missed Sarah Huckabee. She spoke at like 8 in the morning, and I missed that one. President Trump came out, I don't know, around 5 or 6 in the afternoon, and it was an all-day event. And it was great. But I'll tell you the thing about President Trump, Dan Bongino, Candace Owens, Kim Guilfoyle. Did I leave any of them out? I didn't see Sarah Huckabee.
Don Jr.
None of them had prepared speeches. Bongino, Kim Guilfoyle, and Don Jr. and Candace Owens didn't even have teleprompters. They just...
You said you were really impressed with Don Jr.
Don Jr. was amazing, and they just spoke from the top of their head, right out of their heart, and it was absolutely amazing. And a lot of times, like if you watch the Apple events, they're up there and you think that they're just going free. They have teleprompters down on the floor that they're looking at and stuff. Now, President Trump had teleprompters, but his speech and everything he talked about was off the top of his head too. Yeah. I think President Trump has to thank a lot of people all the time, right? So I think on the teleprompters, you can't see it, but you can't see what's on there, but they have the names of the people and stuff he's got to make sure that he thanks. Yeah. But everything he talked about too is off the top of his head. And, if you watch any other president or politicians other than President Trump and the Trump family, and I'm going to put Bongino in that family because he was with him, and Candace Owens, they always have prepared canned speeches that you hear over and over again. They just read them. They don't just talk. And what they all talked about were things that are going on in the news right now. And I thought it was amazing. And I must say, I was impressed by all of them because out of all of those speakers, President Trump was the only one that I had seen in person before. I made a vlog about it, and you can see my whole day adventure at this on my YouTube channel, Brian Craig, and it's I made a very good video about it. But President Trump looked younger than he did when he came down the elevator in 2015, 7 years ago.
Yeah, he looks good.
I mean, usually the presidency ages them, always, except in Trump's case. They come out, even Obama came out all gray-haired and everything. Mm-hmm. Trump looks younger.
Because I think he thrives in stress. I think he's one of those people that really handles stress well and handles tough situations well and actually thrive. There's people that are like that. They thrive in those moments. They feel alive in those moments. And I think that's how he is. He's so used to handling so many huge responsibilities and handling people and large amounts of money and just his whole career. And managing a country, I think, just came very easy for him because he's managed this huge international corporation, which is a lot of responsibility. And I think he really enjoyed every single minute of it. And I think he can't wait to get back in there. I think it makes him invigorated having these kinds of things. He's not the kind of guy that is ever just going to, I know he likes to play golf, but I don't think he's ever going to retire. I think this is the kind of guy that is going to work till the day he dies. Yeah. And hopefully that'll be into 100.
And when President Trump talked, he talked about, he mentioned he brought up some things that you've heard him talk about before, but a lot more detail, a whole bunch of new things. It was a completely fresh speech. And
that's good. He said he read the snake too.
He did read the snake, cool. And it was really cool to see him read the snake.
That's pretty cool in person.
And he brought with him, who was just in the audience, his caddy. And his caddy's not a kid. His caddy's like in his 50s, maybe 60. And when the speech, and he pointed him out during the thing. And when the speech was over, I ran up and went and talked to his caddy.
And you got a picture with him.
I took a picture with President Trump's caddy.
Yeah, it's on your Instagram.
And I went up and talked to the caddy, and the caddy is so cool and laid back.
Of course.
And I told him, I said, "You are the caddy to the greatest president this country has ever had." And he said, "Yes, I am."
He's got a great job.
And he's very nice guy and very cool. And I thought it was nice that President Trump brought his caddy.
I wonder how he got that job.
I don't know.
He's probably been with Mar-a-Lago a long time, and
I don't know.
He obviously trusts him.
I guess
that's a coveted job.
Well, and his caddy is with him all the time on the golf course, and
hears everything.
All these private conversations and everything. It's amazing. Now,
well, let me promote your Instagram, and then there's an audio of Kamala I wanted to play. Your Instagram is.
I think it's Brian
Craig's show, and I put up some pictures from the event. We also have a lot of funny memes, and I haven't heard this, but there's some audio of Kamala that's all over Twitter right now, and I want to play this. We're going into this cold, but it's being retweeted, and it's not flattering apparently.
Well, so. if it's being retweeted about her, I'm sure it's not. Why would they retweet something that's flattering?
Okay, I'm going to play it right now. Let's find out. Okay, so hold on. Here we go. Let me turn up the volume.
You got to put your mic up close to it.
I don't know. Anything she says is stupid.
Yeah.
We're all doing a tour of the library here and talking about the significance of the passage of time, right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs. And there is such great significance to the passage of time when we think about a day in the life of our children.
Okay.
I don't know why that's circulating.
Well, she said the significance of the passage of time 4 times in a 30-second blip.
Oh, she's killing time.
Yes. To me, this is all over Twitter now, so I wanted to play it. To me, Kamala, see, it's being retweeted by everybody right now. It's all over Twitter. To me, Kamala seems like somebody who is completely in over her head, and she never knows what the hell to say.
Yeah.
If she's off script, she really she repeats herself constantly, as you see here. She says stupid things like a friend in need is a friend indeed. I mean, I don't know what the hell that was about. She giggles a lot. She's very nervous and anxious and very uncomfortable speaking in front of groups.
Well, part of that is
she's just nervous and doesn't know what to say.
Part of that is it's not just that she's stupid.
Well, that's a big part of it.
She knows what kind of reputation she has as Willie Brown's girlfriend. And she's got a lot of insecurities about that and how people view her and how she got to where she is.
Well, another one of her staffers just quit. So, nobody likes her. And I think she realizes that deep down. But anytime she speaks in public, it's a disaster.
I just want to say one last thing about the Trump event this weekend, though. Obviously, I was impressed with everybody, especially Donald Trump. But the person that spoke that really was different than I was expecting was Dan Bongino. I've never seen Dan Bongino in person, and Dan Bongino in person was nothing like I expected him to be. He was nervous. He even talked about it when he was up there talking. He was I could tell he had stage fright is anxiety.
Yeah, well, that's normal.
And none of these other people had stage fright. I could see it in his mannerisms when he first came on stage. I was like, oh, this is interesting, because it was with his left hand. And I was like, oh, he's got stage fright. I'm very surprised. And as he was talking, he stopped for a second. He's like, oh, sorry, I'm really nervous. I was very surprised. I was expecting...
He's kind of new to all this. Don Jr.'s been in the public eye his whole life. Tim Guilfoyle has been on TV. She was married
he's on the 5, and he's got his own thing. I was expecting Bongino to come up there and be like loud and in your face, and
he was nervous
and really have an attitude. And what I took from Bongino is that he was nervous. Yeah, he was very humbled by the support that he has with people. I was really impressed.
Yeah,
with
he seems
Bongino, because you see him on the 5, and he's like a tough guy, New Yorker, and I thought he was going to come out there. Like
he's a Secret Service agent. Those guys are tough.
Well, like he just came out of the gym. You know how those guys come out of the gym like, yeah, I'm here, we're going to rock. And it was nothing like that, and it was really cool. Listen, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, there's a lot more to talk about. We've just scratched the surface. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
There are so many germs out there, but they're impossible to detect or see with the human eye. But there's a way to eliminate germs easily and safely wherever you are with UV Magic. Available online at buyuvmagic.com. That's buy, B-U-Y. UV Magic can scan any surface for sterilization and kills 99.9% of cold and flu viruses, germs, and bacteria. With UV Magic, you can sanitize all your electronics with no skills required. This is a portable device, so you can use it anywhere you go. It comes with 4 AAA batteries, a USB cord, and is ready for immediate use. It features a sleek design. UV Magic is lab tested. You can use it on anything, and it will kill the germs you don't want around. Buy one for your work. Keep one at home, in the car. UV Magic makes a great gift, too. Order yours right now. Go to buyuvmagic.com. That's buy, B-U-Y, buyuvmagic.com. Do you want to become a better and more profitable trader? If you answered yes, there's a podcast you will want to add to your playlist. The Affirmations for Traders Podcast with Tessa. The Affirmations for Traders Podcast is the perfect companion for your trading journey. Developing the right mindset is important for trading. You want to be more confident in your choices and decisions. With the Affirmations for Traders Podcast, you can listen and apply affirmations that make a positive impact to support you in your trading journey. These are impactful affirmations. That's It's an important tool to have in your toolbox to help you become a better and more profitable trader. You will learn whether you are a reactive or proactive trader. Learn how to squash those limiting beliefs. Learn self-discipline, and that's just the beginning. The Affirmations for Traders podcast with Tessa can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, iHeartRadio, and your favorite podcast platform, as well as the show's website, affirmationsfortraders.com. Add the Affirmations for Traders podcast to your playlist right now. I love my MyPillow towels. Unlike other towels, the MyPillow towel absorbs. They're soft to the touch. They come with a 10-year warranty, a 60-day money-back guarantee. Mike Lindell says towels that actually work. What a concept. But don't just take my word for it. Christine from Pennsylvania called live on the radio and shared her experience with her MyPillow towels.
I was just going to say, I bought the MyPillow, my towels, a couple weeks ago, and they are fabulous. They are the best towels I've ever used. They're just the right amount of thickness. They're not too thin, they're not too thick, and they're a great length. They're like longer than your average towel, and they are fabulous, luxurious.
You know, what's amazing to me about the MyPillow towels, Mike Lindell's a genius with his inventions. It absorbs the water, and the towel's not soaking wet after.
Yes, exactly.
You know, other towels, the water just kind of lays on top of them. They don't absorb it, and you're just smothering water, smearing it around on your body. Now with the
Exactly.
MyPillow towels. What color did you get?
I got the sage green.
Ooh,
But
yeah.
I'm going to order more because I love purple, and I'm going to have to get a purple.
Man, my wife's ordering the purple too. And she says it doesn't match our bathrooms, but she likes the purple anyway. So we're getting purple.
Who cares?
Exactly.
They'll be great.
Exactly. All right, Christine, thank you so much. The MyPillow towels are normally $109.99, but with our promo code at checkout, Kane, Kane, just $39.99. You can also order by phone, 1-800-716-4879. 1-800-716-4879, promo code Kane.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast, broadcasting from sunny South Florida. Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at briancraigshow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on, all right? Well, you know, last week, everyone was talking about this very strange story that Rachel Levine, who's transgender, was named one of the women of the year. And then the Babylon Bee over the weekend got suspended from Twitter for saying man of the year. And, you know, this is the thing with the left, okay? There's a long list of things that you cannot say, or the left will just they'll come after you. And you know this thing about the Rachel Levine, the transgender.
It's not Levine.
It could be either one, whatever, you know.
Like Mark Levine.
This is the thing with the left about this, and with the swimmer and everything. The left are obsessed with you accepting everything that they believe.
Yeah.
All right. But they're not very tolerant of other people's beliefs.
If you don't accept what they believe, then you're just an intolerant bigot.
And not just on this, anything. And the left are all into this is not new. The left have always been this way. The left are all about diversity, except when it comes to diversity of thought and opinion. And if you that's the one diversity that's too much, you know, that to them. And if you don't agree with them on something, or if you're not accepting of everything they believe in, that's right, you're a bigot, you're a Nazi, you're this.
This is how they silence you.
Yeah, and
or try to.
And when I was at the Trump speech, President Trump was talking about Leah Thomas, the swimmer, and everyone was, you know, all the speakers had referenced Leah Thomas, the swimmer. This transgender thing's a big issue now.
And the swimmers are starting to revolt.
Stand up.
And they wouldn't stand next to, I refuse to call him him. He's clearly faking everybody out.
He's a cheater.
He's a cheater.
Cheating.
And I really wish I'd said to you, they have Caitlyn Jenner, who I do respect, because I love Bruce Jenner, and to me it's the same it's the same, you know, whatever. Same person, obviously. And I like Caitlyn. And she was on the Fox. She's been on Fox a lot lately talking about this. And I wish somebody would ask her, do you think it's possible this guy is just faking everybody out, that he's really not transitioning? Nobody's asked her that question. I mean, to me, that is possible that people could take advantage of this
gaming
situation.
the system, cheating.
Exactly. I mean, I don't know why it would be so. Just a guy grows his hair long and boom, he's a woman.
That's right.
And he gets to compete.
Yes.
Well, he still has a penis. So as far as I'm concerned, he's a chick.
Yeah,
I mean, a guy.
I think there was
it's very confusing.
There was a big turn over the weekend. Leah Thomas had broken more records and gave an interview.
Yeah.
And when Leah Thomas gave this interview right after one of the competitions, is when the backlash started, because people are like, well, wait a minute. This sounds like a guy. This doesn't sound like...
That's right.
And for the first time over the weekend, I've seen in the news, people are talking, is Leah Thomas just a cheater? I think so. There's a difference if you're transitioning, transgender, okay, whatever. But as opposed to, well, I can't win as a man, so I'm going to say that I'm a woman now so I can compete with the girls and then I can win over there. And I mean, Leah Thomas is just cheating.
If he was truly transitioning, wouldn't there be some altering of his body other than longer hair? Like, wouldn't he...
the voice
change, or have breast implant. I don't mean to be confused, weird here. Or have something,
it seems to me,
feminine about, it's just ridiculous that they're letting this guy compete. I'm sorry. It's absurd.
It's strange.
He is twice the size. If you look at a picture of him next to the other swimmers, he's twice their size in broad shoulder. His shoulders are broader. He's huge. He's tall. Bigger feet, bigger arm span, bigger hands. Like, and even Caitlin said, a larger lung capacity. Everything's larger. So my concern is when Leah Thomas is not competing anymore, he has established all these records that nobody will ever be able to beat ever. They're going to have to expunge these records, expunge them out of the record books. But I think it's a disgrace that it's happening, and I'm glad the swimmers are starting to speak up and protest. I think your idea is the best. When they're on the podium getting ready to jump in the water, they should just stand there and let him swim by himself the whole time, and he won't realize it till it's over.
Well, he's out
then
now
look like a
because
jerk.
he had his last race, which he lost, and I think he lost it on purpose because
I think so.
Because everyone's saying, well, he's cheating now, but he's winning every race.
That's right.
And so he lost on purpose that he would, so it would look like he wasn't cheating.
Yes.
But that's, come on.
So he's done. He's graduating.
Well, I think that. Well, I don't know if he's graduating, but this is the end of the swim season. I
wonder if he.
So this is it.
If he's going to go into the Olympics.
Oh my goodness!
As a woman, does he have the guts or the? I was going to say the balls.
Well, he definitely has. Leah Thomas does have those
to actually go on the Olympic team as a woman and compete as a woman.
Yeah.
Do you think he would do something like that? Because that takes a lot of nerve.
It does. Well, we're going to find out.
We'll find out.
We're going to find out. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about what's going on in Ukraine, because I have gotten strange responses from people about this today. Okay. Yeah. There's 3 stories out of Ukraine, but I just start with the first one. The first one is it was reported over the weekend by a Rolling Stone reporter, okay, that there are advanced American troops on the ground in Ukraine doing operational work for future U.S. personnel to come in, and they include Delta Force and Navy SEALs. Okay, and this came from a Rolling Stone reporter, and they're a blue check mark on the Twitter. And I just want to mention this too. I read the comments that people leave me, Probably shouldn't admit this, but I do. Somebody, more than one person, say, you always say the Twitter. It's not the Twitter. It's Twitter. It's not the Facebook. It's Facebook. The reason I say the Twitter is there was a movie that Betty White was in. I can't remember what movie it was. And she was an old lady. It's a few years ago. And she says, I'm on the Twitter. And it was like a joke that she said the Twitter instead of Twitter. That's why I say that. I know it's not the Twitter.
I like saying the Twitter.
Get a sense of humor, some people. But anyway, so we have U.S. boots on the ground in Ukraine right now that are doing advanced operational work for future U.S. and NATO personnel. So we are now involved with troops on the ground in Ukraine, and the entire country of Ukraine is a combat zone. So at any moment in time, those U.S. service personnel could come under fire by Russians. And if they are, they're going to shoot back. So things are getting pretty hairy now. And I got some reactions from people I was reading on YouTube and some DMs and things today that were so strange, okay? Several people told me that I am endangering the troops by telling the Russians where they are. Ukraine is a huge country.
It's like as big as Australia.
Well, then I said that, and then I got a message from someone in Australia that says Australia is 10 times the size of Ukraine. I don't know. But
whatever.
Everybody's
big.
Everybody's an expert. It's a big country. I do not know where they are in Ukraine, and
I'm bigger than most European countries.
Yeah, and I'm not telling people exactly where they are. I don't know exactly where they are.
Plus, it was reported. Okay, so that's one criticism. You're not getting secret intel here.
No. So that's one criticism I wanted to explain. Someone else, actually multiple people on this one too. Oh, Rolling Stone. What credibility does Rolling Stone have? The way things work with the government, okay? The government's very devious. They don't want to have breaking news on NBC with a sounder and then have Lester Holt coming out. Breaking news out of Ukraine. U.S. boots on the ground. What they want to do is, they call it walking out. They want to slowly walk out the story to get people accustomed to it so that when the news comes on NBC or CNN or Fox, it's not even like news. People are accustomed to the idea. So they leak the story to a lesser news outlet to get it out there so people get accustomed to the idea of it so it's not shocking when the officials come out and talk about it. They'll be like, oh, we knew about this for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, however long until they acknowledge it. And I had some people say to me, these are like our fellow MAGA people. Well, I'm not seeing this story on Fox or CNN or NBC. I got to wait until it's on one of them before I believe the story. So you've got to wait. This is what some of our MAGA friends are telling me. We're MAGA, you're the MAGA. They got to wait for the fake news to confirm the story. And then when the fake news confirms the story, it'll be real to them. I thought they were fake news. The reason that the fake news are not reporting this story is because it is true. And they're in the business of not breaking news, but covering news up. They don't want you to know about it. But it is true. And the debate that I was trying to get going today, but there was just so many I thought the reactions to people I were talking to this morning was so bizarre to this. I was trying to get a discussion going as to, now that we have troops on the ground that are in the combat zone, is time for debate over whether or not we should be in Ukraine over, because conservatives always have this viewpoint that debate over a war is over once we have American personnel on the ground in the combat zone, which we now have. So this is something this is big news, and it's not being reported, I know, in the mainstream media. It will eventually, but this is how the war in Iraq began. When the war in Iraq, before it heated up, a little story like this one leaked out in a small publication. I can't remember which one. It's been almost 20 years. But that advanced teams of U.S. Navy SEALs and Delta Force are doing operational work inside Iraq in preparation for the U.S. troop movements into Iraq. This is how Iraq began. It's happening here. So what we've got to get our minds around is this. It's not whether or not we should go into Ukraine or we're there now. Biden signed off on that. So they've made the decision to send more U.S. troops into Ukraine. It's only a matter of time. So now we've got to move into that. But I'm very concerned about Zelensky. We're going to take a break. When we get back, we're going to talk about that because I've got some major concerns with this guy. I don't trust him, and I know a lot of you don't either. All right? I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. We'll be back right after this.
From French author Nathan D. Latreve comes the fantasy novel Juvenile Tribulations, an epic fantasy adventure available on Amazon. 200 years have passed since the last great war of the Five Peoples. Peace reigns in appearance only. In the human capital, a young boy and his childhood friends, a fishing elf, and a forest dwarf live a golden and happy youth, hardly disturbed by their numerous pranks. But their last joke during the warm season party was not to everyone's taste, especially the respective families, who decided to separate them as soon as possible. In spite of themselves, they embarked on an epic adventure. Will they manage to find their way? Will they discover the origin of the strange elements that could call into question the very existence of their universe? Find out when you read Juvenile Tribulations and follow the adventures of the three friends and other heroes in a fantastic adventure where they meet amazing creatures, where magic is omnipresent and fights often deadly. Juvenile Tribulations, an epic fantasy adventure from author Nathan D. Latreve, is available on Amazon. If you love fantasy adventures, this is the book for you. Order your copy right now. From authors Rhoda Starzik and Jolie Robinson comes the new children's book, The Adventures of Jolie and Her Best Friends, Hamilton and Begorama, Learning to Share. Oh no, the eggs are missing. Springtime on Nana and Papa's farm is a time for celebration. On the first day of spring, Jolie, Hamilton, and Begorama, along with their bunny friends, go on their annual spring egg scavenger hunt. But there's no eggs to be found. What could have happened? Mr. Bunny always hides eggs for them. On their quest to solve this mystery, they become lost and are helped by many of their forest friends. Their search ends in a huge disappointment when they learn that BJ, the Blue Jay, has taken the eggs for herself, broken most of them, and refuses to share any that didn't break. But don't despair, Jolie has a plan, and with the help of her friends, they are able to save their spring celebration. Join Jolie and her friends on their adventures as they teach BJ about sharing, kindness, and the importance of asking permission. This book is perfect for parents, grandparents, and teachers for classroom reading. The Adventures of Jolie and Her Best Friends, Hamilton and Begorama, Learning to Share, from authors Rhoda Starzik and Jolie Robinson, is available on Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, and other online booksellers. Order your copy right now.
Good morning. You're on the radio. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Good morning. This is Chaplain Jethro from Flint, Michigan.
Hey, Chaplain Jethro in Michigan. What's up, Chaplain?
Well, first of all, I want to thank Mike Lindell for the great product called My Slippers. That cured my neuropathy in a big way. In 10 minutes after I put them on, it went away. This morning, I woke up with leg cramps, put them on, leg cramps gone.
That's amazing.
I tell you, it's a great product.
Which one do you have? I have the tan fur-lined moccasin My Slippers. Which ones do you have, Chaplain?
I had the blue ones, and they're fur-lined also.
I've heard from several listeners that the Mike Lindell My Slippers make their neuropathy go away, and there's very little treatment for neuropathy, and people that suffer from it, it's torture, so I appreciate that. All right, Jethro, I appreciate the call, and thanks for the kind words about Mike Lindell's My Slippers and how they help with your neuropathy.
Yes, indeed, they do.
And right now, when you use the promo code KANE at checkout, KANE, save 50% off the MyPillow My Slippers. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and use our promo code KANE, KANE, for 50% off the MyPillow My Slippers. That's 50% off, but you've got to use the promo code KANE, KANE.
You are listening to the Brian Craig Show podcast. Broadcasting from sunny South Florida, Brian is joined by his wife and co-host, Kathy. Follow Brian on social media at BrianCraigShow.com. And now, Brian and Kathy.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Brian, always joined by my wife and co-host, Kathy. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. Make sure that you follow and subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on. Now, two stories other than U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine, two other stories came out over the weekend. These are things that are being widely reported, although not widely reported enough about Zelensky. He did two things. One, he outlawed all the opposition political parties in Ukraine, 11 of them, okay? There's only one political party in Ukraine now, it's Zelensky's party. So I don't know what all the different political parties are in Ukraine, and you know what? You guys don't either. And anyone who tells you they do, they just read a Wikipedia and are brushing up on it. We don't know, but we do know this, that there is only one political party in Ukraine now, Zelensky's party. All the other ones have been outlawed, and he said they all were connected to Russia and all were sympathetic to Putin. Maybe that's true, maybe it's not, but all 11?
Yeah, that when I read that was really interesting to me. That's something that somebody does who's setting up to
do something bad.
Well, you know, that's the kind of thing that people do. Whenever you see a leader getting rid of any kind of opposition, to me, that's a red flag.
All opposition.
All opposition. And they do it in the, this is what Castro did. and they do it in the name of protecting the country or whatever.
Just like the lockdowns in this country that we had a couple years ago.
You know, you can't help but wonder: is he aware of that? What he's doing is suspicious.
He knows and here's the thing: these one of the parties alone has 25 seats in the parliament of Ukraine. I don't know how many seats they all have combined.
So he abolished them. So what happens? They leave parliament?
I don't know. He outlawed the 11 political parties, and I don't know if that means their members in parliament no longer have their seat, or they don't have a vote, or parliament doesn't matter anymore. I don't know. No one
Interesting move.
See, the media are so big into pushing us into a war with Russia. They're not talking about these stories.
Mm-hmm.
Then Zelensky did something else that shockingly, this is all true, this all happened over the weekend, that the media are not talking about because it involves them. He has taken over the entire media of Ukraine. Every newspaper, every website, every television station, and put them under one news umbrella under his control.
So he's nationalizing everything.
He's nationalized. Yeah, there's one political party and one media outlet, Zelensky's now. And this is what they had in the...
That's a very Putin-like move.
Well, this is what they had in the Soviet Union. They had one political party, the Communist Party. There were no others.
Yeah.
See, and
he's setting up the same type of government here.
And they had one news outlet, right? Pravda. And he, you got to understand this, okay?
That's very weird.
I know a lot of people are going to give me grief when I say this, but the Russians and the Ukrainians are a very similar people, like the Americans and the Canadians. We're different. We have a lot of differences. We have a lot of cultural differences. We eat different foods than the Canadians, but we're a lot alike. And non-Americans and non-Canadians, like if you went to the UK, British people would not even be able to tell the difference between an American and a Canadian accent. We can tell because we're American, or you might be Canadian. So I would say that Russia and Ukraine are even more similar than Americans and Canadians, because they used to be, for many, many years, part of the same country.
Yeah.
And they have...
Not that long ago.
Yeah. So, and I know there's some language differences, but a lot of Ukrainians speak Russian too. So a lot of the tactics of Ukraine and Russia are the same. And Zelensky... having a state-controlled media, only one outlet now.
I mean, that's just crazy.
Outlawing the political opposition.
That, to me, sends off a lot of red flags.
Yeah. Maybe... I
don't know how that can be explained as good.
No, maybe they're all Russian-connected, so they've got to, Well, that's what they say about Trump, right? That he's Russian-connected, right? Yeah. That would be like Biden, after January 6th, shutting down Fox News, Newsmax, and One American News.
Yeah,
it'd be the same thing.
To Trump, so they got
That's correct. And the cancel culture in this country towards President Trump and some others that have been totally blacklisted from social media is mild compared to what Zelensky is doing over there. So these are things we got to really look and pause on what side this country is getting on. Now, this is the deal. Neither of these countries are good people with their leaders. I mean, the people are fine, but their leaders, just like in this country, we've got bad leadership. It's nothing about us. They're both bad, and I probably should not say this because it sounds crazy. I know, but is it possible? Because Zelensky very well could be enriching himself beyond imagination, where he and his family have no worries ever.
I would say that's a safe bet. I think there's a lot of people enriching themselves off of this war.
I really should not. I'm not saying.
This is just a hypothetical theory.
This question I'm about to ask, I'm not saying this is true or that I believe this.
Just something you're wondering about.
But I'm asking you this question, and you can let me know the answer to this question in our comments or wherever you want to leave them.
Yeah.
Is it possible, as crazy as this sounds, that Zelensky is working with the Russians? That he's handing his country over to the Russians?
One thing I've learned...
Is that possible?
In my later years in life, as I've approached mid-century here, with the governments of the world, anything is possible. There's more corruption than I ever imagined. And things are definitely not always as they seem, no matter what. Whenever you see anything in the news or anything, you're not getting the 100% the truth, no matter what. There's always another story or something else behind it. So nothing would surprise me.
Yeah.
With anything. I'm not making that accusation, but I think it's worth pondering and thinking about. And keeping kind of in the back of your mind.
I think so. Listen, the way that
him shutting down all that media and the political parties, when I read that yesterday, to me is highly suspicious and a strange move. Like I said, that's kind of stuff that like dictators do.
Yeah.
And it's a move that they make. Let's see what he does next. I mean, is he setting himself up to be the leader for life like Castro, or is he working with Putin? Has this all been planned? I mean, think about it. Here you have a guy who's an actor. He played an actor. He played a character who his character was an actor, and then he was put
his
in
character.
Elected.
His character. Okay, Zelensky's TV show is on Netflix. I watched the first episode and the last episode. There's 20 some odd episodes. He's a school teacher who goes on some rant about government corruption.
Okay.
And it goes viral, and he becomes president.
Yeah. So now, so they decided to elect him because of this, or was he put there?
Well, he was famous throughout the country because of the show.
But what I'm saying, was he really elected, or was he placed?
Well, a lot of people
play a part.
A lot of people think this Ukrainian billionaire placed him in the position.
I think that's highly possible. I mean, there's a lot of corruption in these elections worldwide and in other countries. It's possible that that somebody put him in that position for certain reasons and to play a part.
But one thing I do know is he's acting like a dictator, shutting down media,
but
opposition.
These decisions he's making,
outlawing
are they his
opponents?
decisions, or is he just reading a script?
We'll never know.
That's the $1 million question.
We're never going to know.
Is he in charge?
Yeah.
Or is he just the spokesmodel?
Yeah, this is really messed up. This is really messed up, being involved in this at all, and to have U.S. troops there with these things that he did over the weekend.
We shouldn't be involved at all. I feel like we're being played.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel that way.
And the media,
and I hate to say that.
Him shutting down all this media, it's very unusual for the mainstream media in this country not to cover stories that involve the media, because it's about them. They like talking about the media because they're the media.
Yeah,
and
I would think they'd be outraged over that.
You think this would be top and bottom of the hour, but I was watching Steve Bannon today, and he was talking about how Fox and Newsmax, he mentioned Newsmax, are on the same side as CNN and MSNBC when it comes to Ukraine. And why is that? I think that is, Brian, because I think it's good for their ratings to have this. This is good for their ratings. They're probably getting more views than ever, making more money. A war is always good for ratings. Maybe.
I mean, look at Hearst, what he did to sell
It's more
newspapers
than
and
that.
magazines. I think that's a big chunk of it, though. I think that they got more people watching now than ever, and it benefits them to keep this going.
Yeah. Well, listen, we are all out of time. We can't keep this going anymore today, but we'll be back next time. I'm Brian Craig, always joined by my wife and co-host Kathy. Thanks for listening.
If you're looking for a cool podcast to listen to, you need to add the Shop Truck Mafia podcast to your playlist right now. They interview a wide variety of people on each episode. The Shop Truck Mafia podcast is about trucks and the people that build them or have built anything fabrication related. They also talk about car and truck shows that are on YouTube, from your big shops to your small shops. If you're into cars, car and truck shows, as well as builds, the Shop Truck Mafia podcast is for you. You can listen on Apple Podcasts and also find them on Instagram at Shop Truck Mafia. Add the Shop Truck Mafia podcast to your playlist right now.